Thank you for joining us for the monthly national training. This is going to be a little bit different. It's less, there's no PowerPoint tonight. If you want to first take a second to fill out the Google form that Garrett just threw in the chat box, we'd appreciate that. One of the things that we're going to do is we just want to make sure that for folks that attend the national trainings, you all get credit for that, and that we know that who's participating in what. And so you should see a Google form in the chat that Garrett just dropped. And we are still letting folks in. Even if you're late, you can get credit for attending. It's all good. I'm so happy to see you all. I love that we get this time together once a month. This is less of a training tonight, really more of a peer shared learning experience with folks. Garrett and I are lucky we get to kind of go from state team to state team to hang out with you all, and just over the past month or so and months and just this year in general, it's just so amazing what passionate folks with shared values can do. And also listening to the grassroots recovery community in that process is really powerful. We are focusing tonight on in-person engagement. Every single state is at different levels of in-person engagement, of opening, and what's allowed in public and what's not. We have so many, one of the things that we're asking all the teams to do, and if this isn't on your agenda or if it hasn't been on your state team agenda yet, is to collaborate with one another and just kind of list out some of the upcoming events that might be happening, because as you know, September is National Recovery Month. August 31st is International Overdose Awareness Day. There are events happening all over this country. One of the things that we've been talking to teams about is we don't have to be the group that plans the event. We can, one of the things that I talked to Alabama team last night, they're like, hey, there's 7 or 8 events coming up, and we want to have some sort of presence there. And so they spend a lot of their time on their state call yesterday, really talking about some of those upcoming events and what RAP's participation might be in that, what Recovery Advocacy Project's participation might be in that. And so a lot of states, you have platforms, you have various petitions that you can engage people with. And one of the things that I want people to think about, like, I love Recovery Month events, right? You celebrate, you get to see folks in person, you hear some recovery stories, you have some special guests, you eat some food, and then you go home. That's most of the time. There isn't always an advocacy component to Recovery Month events or these events, and they don't even have to be Recovery Month related. There can be health fairs or music festivals. People, you might know somebody that's organizing a musical event or something. Go where the people are, right? So we don't want to basically, like, you don't want to walk away from an event and kind of say, oh, that was a missed opportunity. Like, we could have got 100 signatures on this, or we could have got 100 letters to the governor on this. And so we want folks to kind of shift gears here around thinking about on the ground, boots on the ground, grassroots engagement. And Anna Maria is here, who's done a ton of trainings for us around relational organizing and talking to folks. And those are folks that are in our network. Those are folks that we know, and we can engage folks that we know. But there's people that we don't know that are waiting for us to be talked to, right? And to be mobilized and empowered and engaged. And so that's what this shared training is tonight. I'm gonna call it a peer learning session. I'm not. It's not a training. I'm going to pass things over to Garrett just in case I forgot some stuff, but also Garrett is gonna share some of the tools that we've developed for some teams, and give some examples of some of the tools that we're using. And then we're going to hear from 4 advocates from across the country that have either recently had some success with in-person engagement or are making these plans to have success in in-person engagement. And so I'm looking forward to our speakers and just kind of highlighting some of the folks that are doing some amazing work. You're all doing amazing work, and we appreciate that. We only have an hour to highlight a couple people today. So with that, I'm gonna pass things over to Garrett, and he's gonna share some tools on his screen that we've developed, and we'll make sure that everybody has these tools. Garrett.
Sure. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, everyone. And yeah, I kind of echo what Aaron said about and I'm sure we're kind of preaching to the choir here. We've all been to these events, and we all hear these powerful, great speakers, and then we leave and we say we'll see you next year. And I remember a couple of years back, Ryan and I were at an event, and I don't remember exactly which state, but there was like 1,800 people there, and I remember Ryan asking one of the organizers, like, "Oh, what do you do with all these people afterwards?" And they were like, "What do you mean?" And it was like, "Well, don't you have like He's like, "No, we just throw this event every year, and the community knows about it, and it's usually about 1,000 to 2,000 people that show up." And that's kind of like what we're talking about. Is that we do come out. We come out, especially if there's food and a good speaker, we're ready to go. But how do we harness that? And I think that's one of the roles that you all as organizers can play. And it doesn't have to be even around the stuff that you're particularly organizing around. Reach out to other organizations and say, can I help you with your advocacy efforts? Can I be the advocacy hub at your event and help you organize around your mission and our shared mission? So just kind of think about it in terms of that. It doesn't always have to be, RAP California, and we're organizing this event on behalf of RAP California, or participating this on behalf of RAP California. Like, we could just be there to support another organization, but be there and say like, hey, do you have a registrar? Are you registering people to vote when you're out there? Are you talking about some of these upcoming issues that are going into the state? And it doesn't always have to be under the banner of what we're particularly looking at. So just to also keep that in mind. As like Aaron said, me and him are lucky, and we get to hear all of your own great ideas from state to state of things you're each working on. So hopefully we get through everybody today. And if everyone, as you can see in the beginning, you can come off mute on your own. So like, we invite people to share if you have other things going on that you think could be a benefit to others in other states. So we'll hopefully have time for that. But in each of our state teams right now, if you don't have one already, you are working on it specifically right now, but that's your state organizing platform. And as things are opening back up, one of the things that we've been doing, if you haven't received this from me, it's probably because you just developed your platform and you're going through the design part. But I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to use Connecticut's platform as an example. But one of the things that is just a very simple thing is just adding this name signature page to your platform card. So you can go print out one really nice color copy of your platform, add a signature page. But what this now becomes is an engagement tool. Like, you can talk to community. So like, if you're at a recovery event, talk to people about housing, about recovery pathways, about social justice, whatever's on your platform, but you can engage with them. And it just becomes a really great engagement tool. And as long as we're collecting name, email address, and zip code, Aaron and I can help anybody if they don't know how to do it yet, but like, get this into your action network so we can continue, like I said from that beginning, talk to those 1,800 people when specific things come up. Maybe there's a bill that's going to help the housing community in Connecticut. Like, we can re-engage those people. So all of your platforms that have been developed, if you don't have a copy of this already, you will, and we'll add a second page here. The other thing that I'm going to stop this share real quick and then reshare because I have this one. This will come in your follow-up email from this training with this recording, but I'm sure you've heard me and Aaron talking about it. Many of you have been engaging with your state senators and state reps and also your single state agencies around the set aside. One of the things I'd like to touch on is that at least in my very small time of advocacy in the last 5.5 years, I have never seen one single issue that everybody is agreeing on, at least in the community that I work within. And that is the fact that we're asking for the first time, not asking, there's a proposal to have set aside funding stream for recovery support services, whether that's peers, housing, transportation, RCOs. But most of you have probably taken the action digitally, but we've also turned it into a hard copy petition. So in Texas, they're doing their big Texas rally for recovery in September, and they have a few different statewide actions around different bills that did not pass last year, but got through a certain point. So they're going to set up, like Aaron was talking about, and I was just talking about, they're going to set up an advocacy area in this rally where they're going to have this as an engagement tool, but also their platform and a few other pieces of legislation so they can capture signatures, letters to the governors, letters to state representatives. And this is something that we will share with everyone. So you will have the ability to, like I said, print out one of these and then just put it on a clipboard, get 10, 15, 20 of these single pages set up. The other thing that we're doing, and I'm happy to design and help design with any state team member, is that, and I'm going to let others who are going to talk more specifically about it, but a lot of you are working on statewide or local actions, and you've built them in Action Network, and people are signing them, right? But we can also take those and turn them into hard copy engagement pieces. Melissa's on the call. I'm not going to go too much into this. She's going to talk about specifically what they're doing in North Carolina. But we took the exact language off of Action Network, turned it into a hard copy engagement tool. This links to the action with their QR code. And again, just another simple sign-on page. In South Carolina, this action, which got a lot of support, it's going in, it's in Action Network, getting signatures right now, but we have the ability to turn it into an in-person organizing tool and use that as we're attending events, organizing events, or just participating at some level. So I just wanted to put that on everyone's radar, is that like anything we create in Action Network, we can also turn these into in-person engagement pieces and use those to kind of rally the troops per se. So I think those were my three. Yep. Those are my three little things that I was going to say. I don't know the order.
Annette had a good point in the chat. You can, if you have put together a team of volunteers, like have them sign the petition first. Nobody wants to be the first one signing something. And so having some of those names on there is good. And if you noticed on the petitions, there's a QR code. I don't know if everybody knows what that is, but people can take their phone and scan the code and they can take the action digitally. So it automatically puts them in your state's Action Network. And so I like this one right here. We're working on South Carolina with syringe service programs. Anybody, that it's something that it is an engagement piece. Some of us might be shy. You need something to push you forward to talk to somebody. But think about these events and, ask them if there's an advocacy action area. If there isn't, can Recovery Advocacy Project do that? Are people registering people to vote? Can we do that? Right. And so can people sign? Do you mind if we have some petitions that people can sign? Whoever's organizing those events, and what that does is it also builds the relationships between Recovery Advocacy Project, yourself, and that organization that is putting on that event. And so keep that stuff in mind. Garrett, did you have anything else, or can we go right into speakers?
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know the order you had, so it's all you.
and I wanted to point out something that Annette did too. Wisconsin has a couple different actions, and so they have like almost handouts with the QR codes. You can put like 4 of them on the same page and be like, take this action, scan to take this action, scan to take this action. And so people are kind of playing around with how to get people involved. And so I just wanted to point that out, that Wisconsin's doing a great job with that. Great. Our first peer sharing highlight speaker is Kim Benefield. She's doing some amazing work down in Mississippi. A fantastic team who had some urgent stuff come up, and they acted and they organized and they got results. And so I'm gonna pass things over to Kim.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, in Mississippi, the Mississippi RAP, the state of Mississippi is being sued by the U.S. for the Mental Disabilities Act, not taking care of their mental illness. And when they sent the state findings, they wanted to defund peer support. And we got a copy of that. And when we saw that, we had our RAP meeting, the one we usually have. So we started meeting weekly to develop a petition and media release, and some of us were going to go to court. Well, this was like June the 23rd, we find out. We set out the petition by the next day. It was up and running. And by July the 12th of the court date, we go into court, and the state has already changed their mind that peer support needs to be funded. It's the best thing that they have in the state. And we were just sitting there in awe that this had happened so quickly, because we were fighting for that. And we didn't know that Action Network would do that. We had to come up with other ideas to do it. And they said, why not use Action Network? And we did it, and it was amazing. So yes, we're really proud to be able to advocate for what we believe in. So thank y'all. Thank Garrett and Aaron for what they did too.
Well, one of the things that I thought was great about folks in Mississippi is that, like, the turnaround time for that, what, like you said, it was like a couple weeks, and they were able to build out a lot of support on social media. I think posting the petition online and by doing that, you're attracting new folks into the Mississippi Recovery Advocacy Project network, engaging them, and then showing up in person. And also, you all delivered that petition. There's 2 ways to deliver petitions, just so everybody knows. So if you go out and get a couple hundred signatures digitally, you can email that to anybody, and they can see all the names. And then also you can print it out and you can bring it in person. And so when people see those signatures in a stack, that is impactful. So nobody should ever feel like they're advocating alone. You have that support backing you, and that's why these petitions are built up. Kim, did you want to add one more? Yep.
Yeah, I think it really got more attention to our Recovery Advocacy Project because it went on the Facebook. We had people contacting us about that. Nobody really knew what was going on because it was done secretly. We just happened to get a hold of the actual findings to know what they were stating, so we could do what we need to do. And there's only a few that got it, but we also had more participation. We had like 60 that came there. There was like 25 in the actual courtroom with shirts saying, "I am proof peer support works," because we are proof. And I'm real grateful because I was shocked what it could do myself. So thank you.
And I just want to point out that, like, the tone that was changed that you witnessed in the courtroom was because you all were sitting there. Yes. So I just want to make sure that people understand that piece where, or where it's like half of advocacy is just showing people that we are paying attention as a constituency. That is that, and the other sort of piece is showing up and being visual and having your voice heard.
Well, I think
sorry, go ahead, Kim.
Us actually paying attention to what was going on. We didn't just stick our head in the sand and think it would clear up. They even sent us a letter. So the Department of Mental Health sent a letter out stating, no, it wouldn't happen. But the fear of them making that judgment without us being present was why we were so advocate about getting up there and doing what we needed to do. So, yes.
That's right. Well, thank you. Yeah,
Can I
go ahead,
just share
Garrett.
one thing because of your comment about just showing up? I've shared this with everyone before, but I'm not sure if you haven't heard me say it before, but a sitting senator said when we try to cut funding to recovery or treatment, or very few people show up and get loud and put a spotlight on it. If I was to consider cutting diabetic research, I would have tens of thousands of phone calls and letters and people banging down my door. But that's the point about sometimes it's just a matter of showing up and saying, like, we are watching what you're doing and it is unacceptable that you're going to defund X, Y, and Z. So I just wanted to highlight that point Aaron made, that sometimes, 25 people showing up at a courtroom and being like, okay, so now what'd you say you were going to do? Is sometimes enough to reverse the mentality of elected officials. Okay, Aaron, to the next point.
Oh, good. Thank you, Kim, for your work and dedication and organizing down there in Mississippi. We're gonna go from Mississippi to Maine. I want to introduce Wendy Smith, who one of the platform items for Maine Recovery Advocacy Project is justice reform. And so I want to give, I know we've all done a lot of listening sessions in your teams. We've done them virtually by Zoom. And I know there's some teams that are thinking about in-person listening sessions. I know Illinois wants to do one specifically with homeless population in person. There's some other teams talking about in-person listening sessions. If it's safe for your state to do that and you're comfortable with it, we encourage it to continue to have your finger on the pulse of the grassroots community. And so with that, I'm going to pass things over to Wendy Smith to talk about some of the engagement that she is doing in Maine.
Thank you, Aaron. As Aaron said, I'm Wendy Smith. I am an organizer for the Maine part of RAP. And so a few things that Maine has is a great opportunity to work with the incarcerated population. I am currently incarcerated, and I am able to engage in this really important work. We've had some really amazing results with it. So one thing that our team got together and decided to do a community listening session inside the facility. We're actually doing it next week, but we have one of the women on the outside, part of our team, that's coming in and joining me with the other women inside the facility. It's really important. A lot of the women in here are leaving and dying. There's no recovery support services in here. We have no meetings. We have a very minimal classes that help people get a foundation in recovery. I am a recovery coach in here, so I do a lot of recovery coach work. I also am a naloxone distributor and trainer for another organization in Maine. So, I do a lot of what I can do for the women in here, but with the help of MeRAP, being able to come in and, and advocate for the people inside, not just us in here in this facility, but all facilities in Maine. And get some programming in here, get some, whatever they need. So, the listening session is for them. So they, tell us their needs. We can advocate to get what they need in here to save some lives. Since I've been in here 3 years, and I've lost more people than I can count that have left here. So, it's huge and it's exciting and it's honoring that me being incarcerated can interact with, you know, this organization that's doing amazing things out there. And it's rewarding, right? Like, I come in here, I'm in long-term recovery. You know, it's really rewarding to make positive changes. And not only is it helping other people, but it's helping me in my own recovery too. And a lot of difference is being made to the women in here just by seeing what I'm doing has got other women in here engaged with me rep. So it went from me to now we had 4 or 5 new onboardings from inside this facility. So it's growing, you know. So and we did get the approval that some of the events that we'll be doing out in the community in person, we will be able to go and attend them as well. So it's pretty exciting, and it's an honor just to be here tonight. Like, you know.
I'm reading the chat boxes, and I think you know, folks are just as inspired as I am, just kind of listening to you, Wendy, and so I totally appreciate. I think Claudia Hamilton summed it up pretty well. That this is so badass is what is Claudia's response there. One of the things that we talk about on trainings, and I know that Carol Cruz and the Inclusivity Caucus has done a wonderful job of just making sure that on your state teams, you know, are there populations that you haven't heard from? The harder to reach populations, folks that don't usually have a voice. What are some marginalized individuals? Are they at the table? Are they at your state team meetings? Are their voices being heard through your advocacy efforts? Are we centering actions around marginalized individuals and communities? We want to make sure that folks are, and I think that state teams have done a very good job of like, well, who haven't we heard from yet? Maybe we need one more listening session, right? Like I know in Florida, they've done a lot of listening sessions, and they're like, we haven't had one for Spanish speaking individuals. And so, and you know, I think that piece, if we can instill that as a recovery advocacy movement and make that the norm, please let's keep that focus. You know, Wendy, when you do your listening sessions, we'd love to have you back to you know, on a national training sometime to share about some of the things that people are experiencing, what the needs are. And is there anything else that you wanted to kind of say to folks before we go to our next speaker?
Just that it's very important to get to the, you know, underserved populations that you know, really are hugely affected by substance use disorder, and vulnerable. Like, we're very vulnerable when we're being released, right? Because you pick up where you left off. And I think that, you know, if we can get to more, you know, populations that, you know, even inside facilities, you know, I think it could save a lot of lives. And one more thing, I just have to tell you all that, so I did, I was filming, I'm in an ABC abolition film, and I give a shout out to MeRap and the Recovery Advocacy Project nationally. So I just want you all to know we're all almost famous.
I had a feeling you had more to say. I appreciate you, and thank you for the dedication and the work that you're doing and with Recovery Advocacy Project in Maine. And echo, and I hope you have time to read the chat box for folks giving you props down there. Thank you. From Maine to, let's go to Virginia. I know that Nathan Mitchell's been doing a lot of work with both Virginia Recovery Advocacy Project and Inclusivity Caucus, and I know that there's been a couple in-person events and some upcoming ones, and they've done a fantastic job with their platform, by the way. They've put some of their platform stuff online, And people are like, how did you do that? How can we do that? And so I just wanted to turn things over to Nathan Mitchell, and let's take the spotlight off here. You got it.
Hey everybody, my name is Nathan Mitchell and I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm a person in sustained recovery and I'm very grateful to be here with all of you phenomenal leaders. This for me is really exciting to be, to get back in person again. We have had some success with our in-person advocacy. One of the big things that has been brought up a couple times is the Get Out the Vote. And I work for the McShin Foundation in Richmond. We always have a Get Out the Vote table at every event that we have. So I've been able, like at the 4th of July event that we hosted, I had a QR code that linked right to voting rights, but also a separate QR code, right at the bottom of our platform as well. In Virginia this year is an election year for the House of Delegates and also for the governor. So we found it to be, particularly poignant to make sure that we're being heard right now. Our special session, the General Assembly is going to have a special session that begins on the 2nd of August, and they're going to be discussing ARPA money. So because of that, my plan, and I hope with some other people around here too, I think we're going to grab some of the people here at McShin, is to get down to the General Assembly and just go knocking door to door, hitting up the money committees, the appropriations committees on both sides of the of the House and the Senate, but making sure that we're just popping in and saying, hey, my name is Nathan Mitchell. I'm with the McShin Foundation and I'm part of the Virginia Recovery Advocacy Project. And today I want to show you what we believe in. And so when we put our project together, we stated 3 things we believe in. And then we talked about why it was so important to invest in recovery. And I like to put this very simple statement. When we invest in recovery, we build stronger families, we create safer communities, and we produce healthier citizens. Very, very simple, but it's right to the important meat for us of why we do recovery work. Recovery Month, we have Recovery Fest here at the McShin Foundation. We'll probably have 2,000, maybe 3,000 people come through here, and we will have a booth for sure, and those QR codes, but then we'll be just talking to everybody as they go by. I get, yeah, I love the simple message too, right? I get an opportunity to do that every Wednesday. The McShin Foundation, we have, 130 participants. We get together as a community every week. And so I get to go up and share what's going on, what I'm doing, what I'm working on. And so much of what I'm working on is Recovery Advocacy Project. It's really gratifying for me. And I share, I invite them to sign or to endorse. We've got a couple petitions out too. Through our listening sessions, we identified that there were specific needs not being met by LGBTQIA+, BIPOC, and other marginalized communities. And as a result of that, we have 2 petitions, one for recovery residences, which we're also working on creating some policies that we're going to deliver. I got an opportunity to speak at our Virginia Associated Recovery Residences meeting a couple weeks ago, and also more inclusive, culturally competent training for peer recovery specialists here in Virginia. And really, it's a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, stuff that you can do, obviously in front of a computer, but it's really impactful when I get to go and meet people face to face. So tomorrow, the reason Michael King was right behind me is that we have a leadership training here at the McShin Foundation, where we have people from across the Commonwealth coming to visit, and I'm going to attack them with the platform when they're here. So, hey, look, this is what we're doing. And I'm really excited about that. And let's see, I did make some notes, I'm sorry. Because we have 12 recovery houses and there are like 1,000 recovery beds here in Richmond area, I've got the recovery platform posted in every house. I'm working on getting them posted into other houses as well. One thing that we did at an event last weekend where there was rain is I actually took this and I laminated it. And I took 10 of them and I put them on all the tables. Garrett was there, Garrett Ryan was there. Put them on all the tables. And so when I got up and spoke about what Virginia Recovery Advocacy Project was, I said, look, right there, laminated. And we actually had the Attorney General. We had some of our delegates and people running for office who were there already too. So that was helpful because I continue to talk to them, and say, hey, this is what we stand for. What do you think about this? What legislation can we work on? towards that. So that's really, really cool. Another thing that I'm working on, and we are working on, I have reached out to, I've reached out to a couple organizations. I know some of other team members have reached out to different organizations, natural partners. I reached out to the ACLU of Virginia and to an LGBTQIA plus advocacy group here in the Richmond area, and finding our natural partners and working on that. There was one other thing. Voter registration recovery fest. Well, maybe I covered it all. I don't know, but oh yeah, the other thing, duh. So I also am one of the hosts of the award-winning recovery podcast here, Getting the Herd. Some of you have been on the show in the past. We're working on getting everybody, every state affiliate of RAP at some point on the show. I'd love to get that all done before Recovery Fest. We'll see if that happens. If I haven't reached out to you, it's not because I don't want you on, it's because I haven't talked to you yet. But I encourage you to hit me up and say, hey, we'd like to be on the show at some point. I had Maine on a couple weeks ago after they had some really incredible stuff up there happen. We had Leila from Montana.
Yep.
Yeah, from Montana up there. Yeah, was on a couple months ago, I think. We had Rhode Island on, although we didn't have Rhode Island Rap, but we had some people from Rhode Island. I talked to Rhode Island Rap, who helped put some people on a couple weeks ago too. So any opportunity to talk about what we're doing here in Virginia, but also to learn from what y'all are doing, and I say y'all, what y'all are doing, so that we make that exchange of information. So yeah, I think that's kind of it.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan. I've been to Virginia events, and you do always get fed well too, but there is always that advocacy component to it that's so impressive. It's like just so for everybody here, just like think about where the people are, right? Like go to the people, right? Like we don't have to wait for folks to be attracted to the platform that you're working on, or a petition. Like go out there and talk to them about it, and really have conversations and build those relationships. And if everybody invests in a clipboard, and B, a pen, like there you go, you're an organizer. Like that is all you need that's our uniform, a community organizer uniform. All right, and so keep print some stuff out, keep it in your car. Keep it with you, just include it into your practice of going out and chatting with people. So thank you, Nathan. I appreciate you. And I wanted to give a shout out to both Chantel and Tom, who have done a ton of the language work and around some of the petitions and the outreach. And so Virginia Rap is doing some amazing stuff. And so with that, we're going to go to North Carolina. Melissa Haynes had a recent campaign down there that is probably one of the best examples of what we mean by local engagement. Sometimes we think of local statewide, but think about it in terms of your your county, or your city, your town, your community, that local, that on that level. So with that, I'm going to pass things over to Melissa, and then we're going to kind of open it up and ask people if people shared tonight has kind of sparked some ideas that you might all have in your engagement. So with that, I'll pass things over to Melissa.
Hi, my name is Melissa. Can you hear me okay? Awesome. So I'm a peer support from Wilkes County, North Carolina. I work for Wilkes Recovery Revolution. Of course, I'm also part of RAP. And something about our community is that we have a lot of people who are experiencing residential insecurity. And unfortunately, our community is also not very willing to help out. So it's been a struggle just getting a physical shelter. It's been closed within the past couple years. Just they're making all kinds of rules as to why we can't have a shelter. It's really bad. So recently we had 2 deaths in our community of pedestrians who were experiencing residential insecurity. They were living in a tent, and they were struck by a vehicle, and they were killed. Unfortunately, a lot of our bridges are very narrow. We're a very rural area. So it's just something that we had not been able to fix just yet. And unfortunately, those 2 people did lose their lives. So I have a coworker who is also a preacher, and he is on the board for the local shelter that we have been struggling to get a new one. And we banded together and created a petition to get the bridge changed. Within about 3 days, we had about 300 signatures. My coworker, he being a preacher, people very drawn to him. They listened to him. He was on the news 2 or 3 times. Just incredible. He was truly the microphone. Did a fantastic job. And because of that, we were able to get the date of the new bridge expedited. So it's supposed to start this month instead of later on in the year. So we are still kind of staying on top of them, trying to get them to follow through with what they said they were going to do. Yeah, that's pretty much my petition.
I love that. But can you talk a little bit about who you sent the petition to? Because that was another piece of this that, like, you did some fantastic work with, reaching out to some partners in the faith community. I think all of us can kind of think about who are some influencers in the community, who are those decision makers that, they have this relationship to, and it's not always about, the actions aren't always about drugs and alcohol, right? Like we know that housing issues, employment issues, like it is, that's why these platforms are so wide ranging of what people are talking about in their experiences. And so can you talk a little bit about that? And so congratulations on getting that expedited. Just advocating for a pedestrian bridge and more lighting, just so it's safer for people to go to the soup kitchen and get social services. Like that is what this is about. And so can you talk about some of the people you sent it to?
Absolutely. So we sent it to the local government, including our mayor, and also the person that is over construction within the town. And we also went to the NCDOT.
That's the Department of Transportations. And so thank you so much for the work that you do. I know that Garrett and I have been kind of like retelling a little bit about that action because, like unfortunately something tragic happened, but to be able to prevent that sort of peace for the future and looking out for our neighbors and one another, I think that's amazing work that you did in your town. So thank you, Melissa. Appreciate you. We are going to open things up and just kind of if you want to just kind of respond to some of the thoughts or the shares that people have shared tonight, and if it kind of got your wheels turning of what your team can do, please kind of share that.
You can raise your hand. You can unmute yourself, but maybe that'll be better if raise your hand.
Let's do the gallery view here so we can see people. You can digitally raise your hand or just wave at us. Here's Ashley. Go ahead.
I just want to say good job, Melissa, because I work in the construction industry, and our materials and everything are delayed so badly, and construction's planned like a year in advance. I mean, we're working on our projects that are going to be started in a year. So the fact that you got that sped up, like projects don't get sped up. Like that's pretty amazing in the construction world. So good job.
One of the things that Melissa and I have talked about is like they said that it's expedited, but then like the follow through to that is like stay on top of this, right? And so because people can say something, right, but like keep letting them know that you're paying attention to get that advocacy goal, organizing goal met. Who else wants to share? I saw a couple
Marshall,
other
did you
folks.
come off mute?
Hey, Marshall.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I mean, ever since I've gotten involved with just this whole advocacy thing, it's been like networking is work, right? So we either working or we're networking. So what we've been doing out here from ERAP, each and every one of us just go out to our circle and we get involved in everything. We did something in Lewiston. Like she said, we're doing that listening session. We're actually encouraging other people to open up listening sessions, and if they don't have the voice to, we're like, hey, we'll do the listening session for you. We'll just hold the space for you. Right now, some of us got some grants coming opening for just things outside of MERAP, but we're part of MERAP. So everybody's inviting anybody that's part of our organization, MERAP, to be involved with whatever they're doing. So we've all come together just to keep sharing MERAP. So right now in Maine, it's like, they don't stop hearing MERAP. MERAP's everywhere and it's fierce, but it's all because we've all been given a voice and we've been brought together, right? Our family's been brought together. And as we work together, we've just, it's been a great season, man. I'm inspired. But yeah.
I'm inspired by you. I hear about the work that you're doing in Maine all the time. So thank you, Marshall, for the work that you're doing. MERAP is Maine rap, just in case people didn't pick that up. I giggle when I hear it. MERAP sounds funny to me, but it's catchy though. It's good. People will remember it. Who else wanted to kind of chime in? So
Johnny came off mute.
Yep, go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, so I came off mute because if you think of MERAP is bad, brat, PA rap, brat is awesome. And I just wanted to throw out there, and I'm so stoked to see you all, whoever's coming soon in Vegas. But I just wanted to give Nathan Mitchell a shout out because I now laminated our platform in Pennsylvania. So look out, I was tired of it. I'm sorry, my wife is sitting next to me, laminated it because his craftiness just really inspired me. And now I won't be ruined ever. I can throw it in the air. I can step on it, put it in a bag. Thanks, Nathan. I love you, man.
I love it. And so if it's not on your team agenda, talking about some of the upcoming event, and like I mentioned, Alabama did that yesterday, and within a day they had an email that had a list of 8 events coming up, the dates, who's coordinating it, the different actions that they want to do at these events. We have about 10 minutes left, and so it's all right to end early, but also we want to leave it open for anybody that wants to share about some thoughts on in-person organizing.
Yeah, this is Michelle from Illinois, and my friend Trisha's on here too. She's joining us, which is awesome. Jacqueline and I worked on our graphic yesterday or whatever day it was. I don't even know what day it is anymore, but we worked on that, and I was just thinking, like, had an epiphany because we go out in our outreach, and like having those people sign, the people that we're actually serving, is so important for them to be involved and understand like that they do have a voice, so yeah, we have a lot of events coming up too, so I would love to get that done so that we can have it ready.
Yeah, it's the perfect example. It's like you can just ask people like what is important to you, and just stay in that conversation with people, and ask them, how best would you want to get involved? Some states are they're open to adding more members to their state organizing team. Some states have a great organizing team. They're moving, and so there might be some engagement outside of that organizing team. Like, does somebody want to volunteer for a specific petition? Does somebody is somebody inspired about registering people to vote? Maybe they can go register 5 to 10 people a piece, and whatever it is. Think about what your ask is in organizing. Always have there be some sort of ask. Go ahead, Garrett.
Yeah, I just wanted to, one of the cool things about doing a call like this with everybody in all different states across this country is like, you know, for example, we just heard Wendy, who beautifully shared what's going on and as she's currently incarcerated. So like, if that's something you want to do in your state and you have a jail that's like, that's not allowed, like, oh yes, it is. And I'll point to an example and I'll connect you with people that are doing it right now. So like, and us just having that knowledge as a group together, like there are examples that we can point to and engage, you know, a community that might not be heard of from in your state right now. So I just want to, like, as one of the great things about just doing a learning session like this is like hear from everybody right now. But use that knowledge. Like that's one thing that I could go to my jail, the local jail, or the local sheriff right now and be like, hey, who here is, you know, and how can I engage this community that's currently incarcerated? And I have a perfect example to point to. And if anybody wants to like connect on it, like I'm happy to, Courtney will tell you all about how to get this going. She would love to do it. I'm sure, I don't know if she's on the call and I just volunteered her for something, but I know Marshall will do, like there's just, everybody's here is willing to share thoughts and ideas. So just like take away with that and use it. And if you have an idea and somebody has shared something that you'd like to do in your state, and you don't have their contact information, just hit me up and I'll connect you. So I just wanted to point that out. And there's a dog on the camera now. So
Sorry, I had to highlight the puppy for everybody. It's just in case you need some more information. Because all right, let's take Johnny off the screen.
Yeah, hey y'all, this is Carol. Carol from Connecticut. Yeah, I'm gonna stay off screen only just because it's been a long day. Did an amazing training with Chantel this morning. We had over 20 folks participate in that training, and it was all around how do we reshape recovery spaces to be more inclusive. So that has been my passion, especially being part of the Inclusivity Caucus, is, you know, how do we best not only do the work, but not, you know, hurt people as we go along the way, because we know hurt people, right? And we don't know what we don't know. So what I say to folks when they say, you know, how do we get more folks, marginalized folks at the table? And I can tell you this, that I have absolutely no freaking clue. All I know is that when
Hold on, Carol, you went on mute and you were about to share something incredibly inspiring.
Yes. Thank you. All I know, I went to flip off of Johnny Fab because he was vaping. So all I know is when we started the Inclusivity Caucus, and it was at Mobilize 2020, and we just sent out, you know, a mass, you know, invite to folks, with not the assumption of, oh yes, we're going to fit the quota. We have so many people of color. We have so many LGBTQ. Oh, you know, make sure I'm checking the box. Like, don't go into situations and communicating with folks in your community saying, oh, there's a Black person. You know, there's an LGBTQIA person. Don't go in there with that, because we can smell you coming. So what I say is, go in not knowing what you don't know. Don't expect us to teach you how to treat us. Go in there with your vulnerability and uncomfortability. Be uncomfortable with the conversation. And I tell you, the learning will happen. And those people, those folks may say, hey, you know what? When is that next meeting you're having? Like to be at your table. Like to hear what you have to say, like to sign your petition, like to be at your rally, you know? So I say, just be vulnerable. You know, this recovery spaces, the movement was not built for us, of persons of color and LGBTQ and BIPOC folks. It was not built for us, but we are damn well changing it. And you show up at Mobilize, you'll see it for yourselves. Just keep doing the work that you're doing because it's amazing, amazing work. And I was a spectator back in 2019. Now I'm a gratifying participant and part of the staff. And I just love it. And I love that we are leaving a legacy for those that are coming behind us. So thank you for all the great work that you're all doing. Thank you for allowing me to share and be off camera. Have a good night.
Thank you, Carol. And I know that that presentation and workshop that you're doing with Chantel is being duplicated in other communities, and is certainly, you know, we work to one of the things is the Inclusivity Caucus hosts these national trainings once in a while, and so maybe that's on the horizon as well. And so thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for everybody that got to share tonight. Nathan, I think I don't know if you wanted to drop your email in the chat, because somebody I thought I saw somebody had asked for it at some point in the chat box, and so I just wanted to put that out there. And please fill out the attendance sheet in the Google form that Garrett just dropped in the chat. If you weren't here at the beginning of the session tonight, we want to give folks credit for attending these sessions, and so, you know, I don't know, maybe we'll have like one of those big boards where we give people a star every time you go to a training, and somebody can get some of y'all strive for perfect attendance. Thank you all. I appreciate the work that everybody's doing, the energy that you all commit to this, and we will see you on your state team meetings. And for those that are going to Vegas in person, we'll see you at this end of September. If you're not there in person, we hope to see you as part of the virtual experience, which, if you haven't applied for virtually, that is opening up again in a couple weeks, so folks can do that. So thank you all. Be safe, and we'll talk to you next month. Take care. Bye-bye.